So, good morning once again to everyone. Today we'll discuss about the previous extension of the previous. This is same as the previous topic, but extension we'll discuss. That is power flow in AC system. Generally, power flow in a DC is based on the potential difference. That is potential difference by simply resistance in case of DC. But in case of AC, we take it as a phasor difference. That is the difference of the voltage between the nodes divided by the impedance we take in the case of AC. So in the similar fashion now, okay, we consider here, last class we have discussed, but anyway, this is the extension or similar to that one. This is the simple single line diagram having two machine theory. Okay, it is famous even in power system. This is called two machine system. To discuss about the power flows or simple case, they take this two machine system. We consider two machines, one at the sending end, other at the receiving end, and in between transmission system we will consider this one as a simple power system. So sometimes this second machine you can take it as a load, but in generally, okay, this is the simple power system we consider even while analyzing the power flow or whatever it may be, or even stability cases, whatever it may be, we consider this case. This is the standard system, single machine connected to the infinite bus bar, or two machine system we consider. Okay, so you can see that this diagram. There are two machines or one generator and other load you can consider at the secondary side. Then I did derivation regarding the power flow is concerned. And again, the same further extension of that is this one. Here, we consider machine one, that is a generator, and second one, load we consider here, or generator here, the machine 2, and the voltage, previous case we have taken it as a V1, and here it is E1 and E2, sending end and receiving end voltages, and their phase angles are delta 1 and delta 2. Then here, again, this is a simple case, so we consider the transmission system as ideal one. For that, real power losses are equal to 0. So that I square R equal to 0, R equal to 0. So that means we consider the impedance as a simply JX, reactance we consider. So that real power loss in the transmission system is 0. Whatever the real power we get at the node 1, same power we get at the node 2. So no real power loss we are considering in the system. So then if you see the current flow in the line, so I is equal to difference of these voltages, E1 difference E2. That means E1 minus E2 divided by X is the current. Potential difference by the impedance gives rise to current. This is the current flow through the transmission system. Generally, if you see the potential difference or the difference in the voltage, E1 difference E2, E1 minus EL is nothing but EL, that is the difference in voltage. We can consider it as E1 minus E2. So E1 minus E2, phasor difference. Angles also we consider. E1 at an angle delta 1 minus E2 at an angle delta 2 in terms of our overall equation. You consider, okay. So that is the potential difference EL between sending end and receiving end, divided by the impedance, that is JX, gives rise to this current. So if you observe the voltages and currents in the inductor, nothing but transmission line, the voltage and current are differ by 90 degrees angle. Okay, generally the current lags by 90 degrees with respect to the voltage in the case of pure inductor. So if you consider the transmission system as an inductor, inductance, then the current lags I, that is the difference of the voltage, divided by X, that lags the voltage by 90 degrees. This we know. So same thing, if you see in a phasor form, So E2 at an angle delta 2, E1 at an angle delta 2. Simple phasors you are representing. Generally, delta 2 will be taken as okay, delta 2 generally will be taken as a reference, 1 as a reference, delta 2. So that only delta 1 or difference between the delta 1 and delta 2, you can take it as a delta. You can take it as a delta. That is the angular difference between, phase angle difference between E1 and E2. E1 and E2 we take. So that is about delta, that is phase angle difference. Okay, so this is simple phasor diagram where EL is the difference of this difference, that is E1 minus E2. Generally, the subtraction in case of phasors similar to the addition, we take minus of E1 minus of E2 we consider. That means we subtract the phasor E2 from E1 so that you get EL. So difference it is marked here. Then current, whatever we discussed here, that is perpendicular to this EL. I is perpendicular to EL. Okay. So this is the simple phasor diagram representing this simple two machine theory or a single machine connected to the infinite bus bar. Okay. So that is about already I did derivation, so that is also similar to this one. Don't take that this case and that case are different. So in both the cases, we are discussing the power flows in AC networks. DC, it is very simple, simple potential difference by resistance. But in case of AC, same potential difference by impedance you are taking, but it has real component and also reactive component of the currents and also the powers. How we calculate that real power, reactive power from these real components of currents or reactive components of current, we'll discuss in this. This is actually extension of the previous one. Okay, so that is about this single machine theory. Further, we'll discuss, okay, regarding this one, okay. See, please see, okay. See, many people, they feel it as a difficult to draw this phasor diagram. So I represent separately, okay, then, okay, we'll move to that phasor diagram. See, simply I will draw. Please follow this one because this is very important, okay. See, in this one, that is a two machine theory, we consider E1 and then transmission system, that is JX, and then, okay, the secondary load or E2 you are considering. Current flow through this one is simply E1 minus E2 divided by JX. So that we have taken, okay. Now we are moving it to the phasor diagram. Here I took, okay, delta 2 as a 0. So delta 1 at an angle, E1 at an angle delta 1. So delta difference of delta 1, delta 2, I take it as a, actually delta is the phase angle difference between the E1 and E2. So in this case, I take it as a E2 at reference. That means delta 2 is 0. So it is same as the delta 1. So with respect to delta 1, sorry, I'm representing. Okay, see, E2, I am taking it as a reference. E2, this phasor diagram, please follow, okay. Then this is the E1 phasor and E2 phasor. We are considering phasor diagram, okay. Then see, here draw perpendicular to this one, okay, perpendicular to this E2. And we are assuming that phase angle difference between E1 and E2 as a delta, that is delta 1 minus delta 2. Then if you resolve E1 along this direction, so that is this is E1 cos delta, and the opposite one, this is E1 sin delta. This is E1 cos delta and E1 cos delta, and this is E2 E1 sin delta. And similarly, represent perpendicular to this E2 are perpendicular to E1. Now draw from E2 end to E1, draw perpendicular. Then resolve E2 along E1. So this is equal to E1 cos delta. This one, up to this. And then this one, okay, this one, okay. So this is, okay, this is E1 sin delta. And this is E2, this is E2 sin delta. Okay, so just I'm representing resolving E1 along E2, E2 along E1 just by taking perpendiculars, and these components also I'm representing. So you can see that here just I'm resolving this one, so that is E1 cos delta, and okay, you can see that resolving E2 along this one, that is okay, this one up to this one, that is E2. Sorry, I wrote it as E1, so it is wrong. So it is this is E2. This is E2 cos delta, and this is E2 sin delta. So so here you can see that different okay. So this E1, this one is E1 sin delta, and then you can see that this is E2. This is E2 sin delta, and this one is E1 sin delta. And E1 we have resolved up here. And so once you resolve this one, then you will know the different components of the voltages and currents. Then just after that, just resolving. Okay, for example, if you want to calculate the current in phase with this E1 and current in phase with this E2, I am assuming it as a IP1, phase 1 is the current along E1, and IP2 is the PH2, or is the current along E2. Current along E1 is IP1, current along E2 is IPH2 or IP2, phase 2 along the phase direction. And in quadrature, assume that this is IQ1. This is the quadrature current which is perpendicular to E1, and the quadrature current which is perpendicular to E2 is equal to IQ2 is equal to this one, IQ2. Okay, this way, once if you calculate the currents IP1, IP2, IQ1, IQ2, then simply multiplying the voltage gives rise to powers. So here, okay, simply, very simple, I have drawn perpendicular to both the lines from the ends, E1, E2 ends, then just resolved E1 along E2, E2 along E1, and also along the perpendicular direction. Now, okay, see, okay, now if you take, okay, see, okay, if you take, this is, please follow me, okay, this is E2, okay, this one, okay, you can see that this is E2 sin delta. This is E2 sin delta. E2 sin delta divided by Jx gives the phasor current, that is the phasor current. You can see that, okay, the just if you take this phasor, you can see, okay, I'm repeating this one now. Okay, so here this is resolving this E2 in this direction gives rise to E2 sin delta. E2 sin delta divided by Jx gives rise to current which is lags by 90 degrees. We are dividing by Jx, remember, impedance is Jx. So J, denominator in J lags, that value lags by 90 degrees. So that here you will have IP1. IP1 is equal to E2 sine delta by X. Okay, E2 sine delta, that you have to understand. Remember, okay, I'm going to that one. Okay, see here, this one is E1. That yellow line gives E1. Okay, this red one. Okay, you can see that here the red E2. Sorry, yellow line gives E2 and red one gives E1. E1. Okay, then okay, we are representing perpendicular and resolving this blue line. Okay, you can see that. Okay, this one is E2. This one is E2 sine delta. This is E2 sine delta, this blue one. So E2 sine delta divided by X or Jx gives rise to the phase current, that is, so this one, this is the phase current, E2 sine delta by X. Okay, actually the E2, okay, this blue one is equal to E2 sine delta. Sine delta, this blue one, because just we are resolving, the angular difference is delta. So divided by Jx gives rise to a current which is in phase with this one, because that lags by 90 degrees. So this phase current IP1 is given by E2 sine delta by X. Remember, why it is lagging by 90 degrees. Okay, see, you can see. Very simple. Don't confuse. Okay, I am repeating number of times, but don't confuse. Simply draw E2 as a reference, then E1 at an angle delta 1. Then draw perpendiculars for these E1, E2 from the ends. Then simply resolve E2 along E1, E1 along E2, and then along these perpendiculars, that is sines, along sine directions. Okay, along sines. Okay, this way. Okay, once you resolve that one, then simply calculate the resultant components. The yellow line gives E2. Actually, this yellow line gives E2. Okay, you can see that the yellow line gives E2 minus this one, that is up to this one. You have up to this one. You have E1 cos delta. Once you take the difference, this you will get. Okay, so that I will mark with red. Okay, so please see that here, this is E2 minus E1 cos delta. This will drive the current, so that is divided by Jx. That is the quadrature current. You can see that sorry, this one. Okay, E2 minus E1 divided cos delta divided by Jx, which gives rise to a current IQ2, which is lags E2 by 90 degrees. That means quadrature component of the current. All I think you might have seen these in phase and quadrature component of the currents in the machine theory. But finally, remember that representing this phasor diagram, maybe some people may feel it as a difficult, but that is not so difficult. Simply draw E2, then draw E1, draw perpendiculars to, okay, perpendiculars to E2, okay, then E1. That simply resolve. Okay, if you resolve E2 in this way, okay, in this way, so this is equal to E2 cos delta up to this one. So this is E2 cos delta. Then this is equal to E1 cos delta up to this one. So this difference here, I am marking that difference. Okay, so with green, okay, please see that this difference is equal to E1 minus E2 cos delta. This difference is E2 minus E1. This E1 cos delta. These are the voltages. Divided by Jx gives rise to that phasor lags by 90 degrees. So this divided by Jx gives rise to a quadrature current that is IQ1, that is given by E1 minus E2 cos delta by X. Similarly, if you consider this one, that is E2 minus E1 cos delta, so E2 minus E1 cos delta by Jx gives rise to a current that is in this direction, that is IQ2. So IQ2 is equal to E2 minus E1 cos delta by X. That is the quadrature component. So reactive power components depends on the quadrature component. Then how to get phase components? You may ask, okay, how to get phase components? See. So here, this red one gives E1 sine delta. This one divided by X gives rise to a phase current IP2, because the lagging by 90 degrees gives rise to, so this E1 sine delta by X gives rise to IP2. Okay, then with the green I am marking, okay, the other one, that is this one, this is, okay, this is E2 sine delta. This green one is E2 sine delta divided by X gives rise to a phase current that is IP1. So IP1 is equal to E2 sine delta by X. IP2 is equal to E1 sine delta by X. IQ1 is equal to E1 minus E2 cos delta by X. Then IQ2 is equal to E2. Okay, you can see that here, okay, E2, okay. You can see that E2 minus E1 cos delta by X. Okay, so you have to remember this one now, because these are important. Remember, okay. So from this phasor diagram, you will have different components of the, that is phase component, that is E2 phase component that of the current, that is this one, IP1 is equal to E2 sine delta by X, and IP2, that is the phase component of the current along with E2, that is given by E1 sine delta by X, and quadrature component of the current with respect to E1, and quadrature component of the current with respect to IQ2. From that one, we calculate the powers. You can see that, okay, how we are calculating that, okay, power, okay. You can see that, okay. So here, the phase component of that, okay, the phase component is given by, so here IP1 is equal to E2 sine delta by X. Then real power is calculated simply by multiplying with the voltage at E1. So that is E1 E2 by X into sine delta. If you want to calculate the reactive power, simply calculate IQ2 and multiply with E1 simply. So in even load flows and other you might have studied, there you will have this reactive power. Generally, once you neglect this cos, then Q will be proportional to E square by X. Okay, so the voltage, reactive power and voltage, they are proportional. It is proportional to square of the voltage. You can see that the reactive power at a particular bus is directly proportional to the square of the voltage. So by changing the voltage, you can vary the reactive power. So reactive power is given by E1 into E1 minus E2 cos delta by X. So we are calculating not only real power, we are calculating reactive power also. Reactive power, from this reactive power, or you might have studied load flows. Okay, already other power system load flows you might have studied, NR method, Gauss-Seidel method, and decoupled. Real power is really, we are considering real power is depends on delta, and reactive power depends on the voltage. And the coupling between the real power and the voltage is negligible, and reactive power and delta are negligible. So that we are decoupling, and then simple relations we are calculating, and from that one we are calculating the load flows in the decoupled load flows. Okay, so here, okay, if you observe the reactive powers, it is simply at reactive power at the end, E1 is equal to E1 into IQ. Remember, simply IQ1, simply IQ1. How IQ1 is calculated from the phasor diagram? Okay, so here reactive power at the two ends are calculated, and real powers, we can calculate real powers. They are equal. You can observe that E1, E2 by x into sine delta. Both powers are equal, real powers are equal, because there is no real component of the real power loss in the transmission system. Resistance is absent, only reactance, that is X is present. So that reactive power is different at different nodes, but whereas the real power is the same at the sending end and also receiving end. Okay, then okay, coming to the other phasor diagrams. Okay, see, so finally real power flow. Finally, real power flow is given by last class. We did derivation. Okay, same thing. If you feel that that is easy, you can follow that one, or this anything you can follow. So the real power flow in at the sending end or receiving end is equal to E1. Here you can see that okay, real power flow is given by, okay, real power flow is given by E1 E2 by x into sine delta, V1 V2 by x into sine delta. Yesterday class we have seen. Okay, so power, real power depends on okay, x value. So it is inversely proportional. Real power is directly proportional to sine delta. When delta is small, it is proportional to delta. Sine delta is proportional to delta. So power is directly proportional to delta, and it is proportional to, of course, E1, E2 also. E1, E2, proportional to E1 and proportional to E2 also. But here, once you change the real power, if you change the E1 or E2, the difference of the potential, the difference will be changed slightly, so that the power flow change is very minimum. So that's why we don't change this okay, E1, E2 for a real power change. That means either X value we change or delta value we change. In this case, we are varying X value so that we'll have different values of power. You can see for a different values of compensation, series compensation, we'll have different values of power flow diagrams. You can see that here for a particular value of, by changing X value, that is decreasing, you can increasing the power flow. And similarly, for other, you can increase. This is, you get this one in the case of series compensation. Series compensation, that is the 5th chapter. Okay, by changing simply X value, you can change the real power flow. So here, real power flow we have calculated from this phasor diagram. Or if you feel that yesterday's class derivation is easy, you follow that one, and then okay, so that is about real power flow. Okay, then coming to the next okay, slide. Okay, so here how various FACTS controllers will affect the power flows, that you can see from this diagram. So simple diagram is here the EL, that is the difference between we have taken difference between E1 and E2 as EL. So now you can see in this case, okay, you can see in this case here, by injecting the voltage here, we inject the voltage in all the 3 cases. First case here, we are assuming that the external injected voltage will be like this. Okay, generally this will be case in the shunt compensator, shunt FACTS controller. In this case, the difference in the voltage will change like this. You can see, okay, difference in the voltage will vary, so that current will vary. So in shunt compensation, generally we do this one. So in this case, mostly the reactive power will be changing, not real power. In the second case, this one, we are injecting voltage which is perpendicular to this current. So in this case, only real power varying much, okay. Here, reactive power, okay, shunt compensation. And though in shunt compensation, we are injecting voltage in quadrature with this difference in the voltage. That means which is perpendicular to this, current. So in this, mostly real power will change. Here, reactive power will change. And the last case, in this case, where you are considering all the cases, that means the case that is E, F, both the cases you can consider, and you can regulate the voltage for over 360 degrees. Remember, the injected voltage will be varied for the entire 360 degrees. So either in phase with this voltage or in quadrature with the voltage, or in all the cases we are considering, so that both real power and reactive power will be varied. This case you can consider it as a UPFC, Unified Power Flow Controller. So finally, I am concluding that in the case of series compensation, reactive power X value will be changed, so that the power flow diagram will change like this. X value will directly series reactance will change. Then in the case of shunt compensation, depending on the injected voltage, the real power and reactive power control is possible. But in the case of UPFC, this injected voltage magnitude and the phase angle, injected voltage, remember, the magnitude and the phase angle is controlled for the entire 360 degrees. Delta is changed for the entire 360 degrees, so that real power, reactive power exchange is possible with the transmission line. So the control is possible. Voltage magnitude and also phase angle. You can see that this magnitude. So this magnitude can vary, and also the phase angle you can vary for the 360 degrees. Here, for a particular constant magnitude, you get a circle. So one more circle you can consider for a different magnitude. Similarly, you can vary the injected voltage magnitude 0 to maximum. Okay, the voltage magnitude you can vary from 0 to maximum, and also delta is varied from 0 to 360 degrees in the case of UPFC. That's why, so these are limited cases, series compensation, shunt compensation, and all other. But here, in the case of the UPFC, you can see that this circle indicates that the voltage angle is changed from 0 to 360 degrees. Okay, so the magnitude is also varied. So that is the advantage of UPFC over the other compensating devices. And we have seen from this, you have to understand both series compensation. Okay, this is mostly about the series compensation. And X directly will affect, so that power flow will change. And then coming to the shunt compensation, you can see that the shunt compensation here, these two come under shunt compensation, and case G, where the injected voltage magnitude and phase angle will be changed. So that all possible cases you can get from this one. So this is today's topic I have chosen. So these are the real components of the, that is phase component of the currents, quadrature component of the currents. From that you can calculate the currents and the voltages. For other reading, please refer the textbook. I have already shared the textbook to you. So for other, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, thank you. This is calculation of these phase components of currents and reactive components of currents are not so easy from this diagram, but you can choose the simple one where, okay, we have considered yesterday class, we have considered V1, V2, and from that we did derivation for real power and also reactive power. Okay, so that case, if you want to see that simple one, that simple case, so that is also similar to this one. Okay, so there we have considered okay, V1 at an angle delta 1, not delta 1. Okay, and then simply the real power we have considered some, okay, similar one. Okay, this is either infinite bus bar, or you can consider it as a two machine theory. This is simply reactance you are considering. So this is V2 at an angle 0 reference you are considering. And then power flow, simply current is given by potential difference V1 at an angle delta minus V2 at an angle 0 divided by Jx. And from this one, we separate real components and reactive components. That's all, very simple. So this case may be easy when compared to the other one. So from this one, simple polar form, we convert this at an angle delta, that is cos delta plus j sin delta. So this is simply V1 cos delta plus j sin delta. We consider e power I theta also, we can write it as that one, minus V2 cos 0 plus j sin 0 is 0 divided by jx. So here we separate real and reactive components. Denominator we have jx, so that here V1 cos delta minus V2. So that is one component we consider V1 cos delta minus V2 by jx you are considering. And next in the second term, that is Vj sin delta, jj you can cancel, so that you can get V1 sin delta divided by x you get. You can see that this is the real component. And in the denominator you have j, that comes to numerator and you get it as a minus j. So that is this is the reactive component of the current. This is responsible for the reactive power and this is responsible for the real power. So how do you calculate real power? Again, just multiplying. For example, at V2, we'll multiply this component, this component, that is V2 into V2 at an angle 0 into V1 sin delta by x. So V1, V2 by x into sin delta. That's all. That is simple derivation for power. And if you want reactive power, so this is the reactive component of the current. So from the multiply this with V2. So this is V2 into V1 cos delta minus V2 by x. Slight difference may be there, okay. See, j, once j will come to the numerator, then this becomes minus j, so that you can see that V2, I am also writing that component, V2 minus V1 cos delta by x, of course, into j. J, once it comes to numerator, you get it as minus j. So I wrote it as reverse, that is V2 minus V1 cos delta by x. If you multiply this with V2, you get reactive power. That is V2 into V2 minus V1 cos delta by x. So that reactive power at this particular point is proportional to V2 square if you neglect this second term. And of course, inversely proportional to reactance x value. So reactive power at a particular bus is directly related to the square of the voltage. So that way you can vary the reactive power, and also you can take the relation between the reactive power and the voltage. Okay. So this derivation I did in the last class. You can follow anything. Again, you have to calculate the currents at descending end. That is also okay. That is a different case. Okay. So if you want this one, this is simple one. Either a single machine connected to the infinite bus bar or two machine theory, you can consider. Both cases are same. So you can follow anything. Okay. So with this, I am ending the class.